Alright folks, so this is the brand new Instinct 2X Solar from Garmin, and what they've done here is take everything great about the Instinct 2 Solar and made a bigger version, but since it does have a bigger case, it also packs in a few new features, and as you can imagine, even longer battery life than before, which was already great on the Instinct 2 Solar. But with the new Instinct 2X, there's some new training feedback features, there's also some new activity profiles, there's increased GPS accuracy, and as you've already seen, a flashlight, just like the one that's found on the Fenix 7X. Oh, and then one more thing. It has an insane price tag of only $449. So I've been testing out the new Instinct 2X Solar for a bit now, and in today's video, we're going to go over everything new from all the new software features to all the new hardware features. We'll talk about battery life, and of course, just like all my reviews, I'll have plenty of examples for you for GPS as well as hardware accuracy with lots of different kinds of activities. And if the information in this video does help you out at all, do me a favor and just quickly hit that like button down below. It's a small little thing that'll help this video and the channel quite a bit, and I appreciate it. So the Instinct 2X Solar comes in two different versions, the Instinct 2X Solar and then the Instinct 2X Solar Tactical Edition. And the difference with the Tactical Edition is that it gets some additional features such as a Jump Master profile for jumping out of airplanes, some more specialized navigation features like dual position GPS formatting, and then night vision compatibility. And then the Tactical Edition runs $50 more at $499. But other than that, the Instinct 2X Solar and the Tactical Edition are the same, where you get solar charging, the new training and performance feedback features, the new activity profiles, the new GPS chipset, as well as the flashlight. And you may also notice here too that there isn't a non-solar version. All the Instinct 2Xs have solar, so I guess you could say that the choice is kind of easy. Okay, so let's go ahead and first talk about the new size. So the Instinct 2X kind of rounds out the Instinct 2 lineup with a new X size model that has a 50mm case versus the Instinct 2 at 45mm and then the Instinct 2S at 40mm. So basically at this point, there's kind of an Instinct for any size wrist. And a 50mm case size definitely sounds big on paper, but it's surprisingly quite wearable and very comfortable. So for my wrist size, which is about 184mm in circumference, I actually tend to prefer something like the mid-sized Instinct 2 at 45mm or mid-sized Fenix 7 or Epix at 47mm. But I found the Instinct 2X to be much more comfortable to wear than the Fenix 7X or Enduro 2, and I think a lot of that has to do with the weight. So the Instinct 2X comes in at 66.5 grams, and then the Fenix 7X Solar comes in at 95.8 grams, and then the Enduro 2 with its UltraFit band comes in at 69.5 grams, and then the Instinct 2 mid-size model Solar comes in at 52.9 grams. And that difference in weight, at least compared to the Fenix 7X, well, it definitely makes a difference when it comes to wearability and comfort. But I think another thing that makes a difference is the integrated band that helps it conform around the wrist. And I've also found this design to kind of keep the watch a little bit more secure and stable too, which leads to better heart rate accuracy. And the band on the Instinct 2X is just like the Instinct 2, where it's super comfortable, where it's just nice and stretchy, and it's just a nice band. But interestingly, it's actually a tiny bit shorter, which kind of took me by surprise. And on the hardware end of things, the 2X shares the same overall style as the Instinct 2 with its retro look and rugged design, but they've actually added screws to the construction as well as this kind of X pattern, I guess you could say, and with this orangey red color, it sort of reminds me of Deadpool. Now, with its larger size, it's got more room inside, so what they've done with the Instinct 2X is bring the dedicated LED flashlight that was first introduced with the Fenix 7X to the Instinct series, and seriously folks, I find the flashlight to be incredibly useful, and in fact is the reason that the Enduro 2 has actually spent more time on my wrist than any other Garmin in recent time, even though it is a little bit larger than I would prefer. And just like the Fenix 7X, Enduro 2, or the Tactix 7, all you have to do to enable the flashlight is just a quick double press of the upper left-hand button and boom, there it is. And then you can also access the settings by long pressing on the upper left-hand button to bring up the controls menu, and then here's where you can adjust the brightness level as well as switch it to the red LED, just like the one that's found on the 7X as well as the Enduro 2. And by the way, the Tactical Edition of the Instinct 2X has the green LED just like the Tactix 7, as that color is, I guess, a little bit more useful in tactical situations. But interestingly though, they actually call it a torch here on the Instinct 2X versus a flashlight on the 7X and Enduro 2. And then in addition, it also has a strobe feature that you can access through the controls menu. And with the strobe feature, there's a few different options here. So there's a blink mode, a pulse mode, a beacon mode, a blitz mode, and then you can make a custom strobe pattern if you wish. Now, along with the larger case size, there's also a larger display where it's quite a bit larger than Instinct 2. And for all of you out there who are curious, it shares the same 5 data field limit on a data page at one time as the Instinct 2. And since the 2X is bigger, there's room for an even larger solar panel that surrounds the display, but the display itself also does have their power glass technology, which has a translucent solar panel that sits atop the LCD display, and all this translates into up to 50% more solar charging power than the smaller Instinct 2. And in addition, it also has an updated solar intensity widget which shows lux hours, which is something that makes its way from the Fenix 7X and Enduro 2, which basically just gives a bit more detail into how much solar exposure that you're actually getting. And since the 2X is larger, it also has longer battery life, and that's with or without solar charging. So the Instinct 2X gets up to a whopping 40 days in smartwatch mode versus the 28 days on the midsize Instinct 2. And of course, just like the Instinct 2, it also can get potentially unlimited battery life with enough solar exposure. But since the panels are larger on the Instinct 2X, it should be actually easier to get that potentially unlimited battery life. And then for battery life for recording outdoor activities, if we're doing a one-to-one comparison of battery life using the GPS-only setting, that's double what the Instinct 2 can get and substantially more for the other modes. But the Instinct 2X also has the multi-band satellite chipset, and in this mode, it can get up to 27 hours of battery life. So even with the 2X's highest accuracy setting, it's nearly the same as the highest accuracy setting on the Instinct 2 Solar. Oh, and one more thing is that the Instinct 2X does come with a USB-C charging cable versus the USB Type-A that's been previously included. Another thing new with the Instinct 2X is that it gets Garmin's morning report feature, which is basically this handy little screen that pops up every morning that displays a lot of the things that you probably want to know about when you wake up, like your last night's sleep details, your HRV status, weather information, as well as calendar events. And then for health and activity tracking, the Instinct 2X comes with everything that comes with the Instinct 2. So it tracks your heart rate 24 hours a day, it tracks your blood oxygen saturation levels, it tracks your stress, it tracks your steps, your floors climbed throughout the day. It has Garmin's advanced sleep tracking, where it can also track your sleep stages. And it also comes with the host of training and performance feedback features that were included with the Instinct 2, like a performance widget that can show your VO2 max for both running and cycling. It also has a race predictor widget for common running race instances. And then there's also training status, which basically takes in numerous factors like your VO2 max trends, training load, HRV status, as well as recovery. But the Instinct 2X also gets training readiness. That's right, the same awesome training readiness feature that you'll find on Garmin's high-end watches like their Fenix 7, their Epix Gen 2, as well as their Forerunner 965, and even the Forerunner 265. So training readiness is an indication of, well, as the name implies, how ready you are for your next training session versus training status, which gives you an indication of how your last training and previous training is impacting your fitness and performance. And with training readiness, it takes in numerous factors like your last night's sleep, your recovery time, your HRV status, as well as your acute load. And basically with all those factors, it delivers a readiness score for how ready you are for your next workout. And this really is a pretty great feature that I've really enjoyed using since it first came out on the Forerunner 955 last year. Now, if you're wondering, training readiness is just for the Instinct 2X, and it's apparently not coming to the regular Instinct 2s via software update. But another thing new to come with the Instinct 2X is a new obstacle course racing profile. And what this does is it allows you to break out your race by your run portions versus the obstacle portions, where you'll use the lap key to initiate when you're on an obstacle. And then when you're done, you just press the lap key again to end that obstacle leg and then start running to the next obstacle. And then they're also introducing a few new activity profiles that they've added to the Instinct 2X, like boxing as well as mixed martial arts, in addition to the already enormous list of activity profiles that the Instinct 2 already has. And here's basically all the activity profiles that are available on the Instinct 2X. And by the way, the new obstacle course racing profile, as well as the new activity profiles like boxing as well as MMA, will be making it to the Instinct 2 and Instinct 2S via software update somewhere around Q2 of this year. And then for smartwatch features, the Instinct 2X is going to be identical to the Instinct 2 Solar, where it can receive notifications whether you're on an Android phone or an iPhone. But if you are on an Android phone, you'll actually be able to reply to text using predefined responses that you can customize in Garmin Connect. And then another smartwatch related feature that the Instinct 2X gets is Garmin Pay for offline payments. And then in addition to that, it also can receive weather information as well as show a list of calendar events that are both synced from your phone. So when it comes to GPS accuracy, the Instinct 2X also adds a dual band or multi-band satellite chipset. So this is something that's basically an upgrade from the Instinct 2. So with this kind of technology, its aim is to deliver increased accuracy in environments where satellite signals can kind of get iffy, like around really tall buildings, rock faces, or really heavy tree cover, where those objects can actually interfere with satellite signals. And in regards to its accuracy, well, spoiler alert here, but it's super solid. So like on this road ride here, the total distance lined up just fine with all the other devices, and they all actually also had the same multi-band technology, by the way. And the elevation gain was also pretty close here too. And then in regards to the finer detail of the GPS tracks, this was an interesting test because it was an out and back, so we should basically see some nice distinction between one side of the road to the other, and that's very much the case for the Instinct 2X. What's also interesting about this ride is that I went up and down a portion of this canyon, and again, even with all the tall canyon walls and rock faces beside the road, the Instinct 2X did great. And then for mountain biking, again, quite good stuff out of the Instinct 2X, where the total distance was very close to other devices, and so was the elevation gain. And taking a look at the GPS tracks on that ride, the Instinct 2X was super crispy, and again, we're comparing it to other devices that also have that multi-band satellite system technology. So as we start to head up the Antelope Trail here, it's all good out of the Instinct 2X. And then up here on the Nelson Loop, I basically did this loop 3 times, so that's why we see some pretty dense tracks here, but as you can see, it's super consistent. But if I had to nitpick, right here at the north end of the loop, there was this corner right here where it maybe overshot ever so slightly, but that's incredibly minor. Certainly not like the device that's in green. And then one more section I wanted to point out was going down the Bitterbrush Trail here, and this is a super tight trail with tons of switchbacks, and it also has a pretty good amount of tree cover, and the Instinct 2X laid down some very clean tracks. So in regards to GPS accuracy, it's really solid. Now, it's not like I really had any issues with the Instinct 2 by any means. In fact, it was plenty accurate, and I didn't really see any big misses out of it or anything like that, but it is nice to see that multi-band satellite chipset in the Instinct 2X for even increased GPS accuracy in some of those challenging environments. Now, one rather interesting thing to note here, though, is that although the 2X does come with a multi-band satellite chipset, it actually doesn't come with the AutoSelect or SatIQ mode that's found on the Fenix 7X or the Enduro 2. And with SatIQ or AutoSelect, what this technology aims to do is automatically switch between different satellite modes in an effort to save on battery life, because you may not need the highest accuracy setting all the time. Like if you're out in the wide open with no obstructions, you likely would only need a single frequency mode, and then when you do get in a situation where satellite signals would degrade, it would automatically switch to a dual frequency mode. And although it doesn't have this mode, which is a tiny bit of a bummer, well, I guess one argument is that the 2X already gets really great battery life. Alright, so now onto heart rate accuracy. So the Instinct 2X uses Garmin's latest 4th generation Elevate heart rate sensor, which is the same sensor that's used on the Instinct 2, and I've been getting pretty darn good results out of this sensor on other Garmin watches, so let's see how the 2X did. So starting out with something sort of easy, here's a steady state indoor bike ride, and as you can see, it's pretty darn rock solid. Maybe a tiny blip here and a tiny blip here, but really nothing to be concerned about. But now let's go ahead and throw something at it that's a bit harder, some intervals. And folks, that's some really good stuff right here. In fact, the only blip I could really see was actually from the ARM-based optical heart rate sensor I was wearing right here at the beginning. But for the Instinct 2X, it was shockingly good with all these rapid changes in heart rate. Exactly what I want to see. Now, taking it outside for some road biking, this is where we start to introduce a few more challenges for a wrist-based optical heart rate sensor to deal with, like vibrations and bumps on the road. But simply put, the 2X did awesome here on this ride. Actually, probably one of the better results I've ever seen from a watch with road biking. There were a handful of blips here and here, but overall, this is really darn good for heart rate accuracy while road biking. And then when it comes to mountain biking, this is an even harder activity than road biking when it comes to getting accurate heart rate from a watch. And that's due to a lot of the constant gripping onto your handlebars, which flexes your wrist, as well as all the rough terrain, which can make a watch bounce around on your wrist, no matter how tight you have it. But the Instinct 2X did a very respectable job here. Actually, this is pretty darn good, again, for mountain biking when it comes to a wrist-based optical heart rate sensor of this size especially. And to illustrate what I'm talking about in terms of rough terrain having an effect on heart rate accuracy on a watch, what you can see here as I'm ascending is that for the most part, the Instinct 2X is quite close to the external heart rate sensors I was using. But if we take a look here on the second half of the ride as I was descending, this is where the accuracy shifts and it isn't as spot on. But again, overall, this is a very good result out of the 2X. And then finally, for strength training, this is basically one of the hardest activities for wrist-based optical heart rate sensor to get right. And this is again due to a lot of the gripping onto the dumbbells, as well as a lot of varying arm movement, which these sensors just don't like. And here's where we do see more variance here with this kind of activity, but even so, the 2X actually did a pretty decent job. We do see some higher readings on a few of these sets, but what you also may notice is that the optical heart rate sensor was even a little off on one set. But even so, the 2X still matched up with the overall trends with all the sets and was also pretty good with the high intensity intervals at the end. So the Instinct 2X, well, it's a nice addition that kind of just rounds out the Instinct 2 lineup with a larger size as well as some new features. But my question to you is, if you're an Instinct 2 owner, are you going to upgrade to this guy? Well, let us all know in the comments section down below. And on your way down there, if you found the information in this video to be useful, do me a favor and hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel for plenty more sports tech videos that are coming soon. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.